Hi everyone.
Hello.
Thanks for watching our videos and welcome back to another one. I'm Dramabeans.
And Girl Friday.
And we actually got so many questions. Thank you guys for asking them.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
That we decided we would answer some of them today and then maybe save some of them for later. Also, congratulations to our giveaway winner. We are putting the winner in the comments below, so be sure to check to see if it's you. And that was the winner of, what did we give away? Oh crap.
We gave away a Dramabeans merch, a tote bag, a water bottle, and a coffee tumbler.
Yes. So congratulations. And I'm going to go right ahead and start looking at the questions you guys sent. And there were a lot of them.
Yeah, we're only going to be able to answer a few per video, but keep asking great questions.
So here's one from Conan Blue 32, and it's, what show do you desperately want to have a second season? Are there any shows that you see the potential to become a multi-season format, so more than 2 seasons? I think those are two different questions, two different answers. There are a lot of shows I would like to see more of, like Age of Youth.
Yeah, I would love to see a 3rd season of Age of Youth. I think, though, in general, the reason I like Korean dramas is because they're a single season. So I don't love the idea of a lot of them being multi-season format. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you could make a procedural go on forever.
Yeah, I think to have a season, to have an open-ended number of seasons going on the way that American shows do, I feel like the stories need to be formatted slightly differently, and I don't love that. I mean, I feel like Criminal Minds could definitely have a season 2, but nobody would watch it.
Yeah,
so
tune in for that.
Yeah,
so.
I think there's a balance there, and I think the shows that do well with another season are the ones that did really well with an arc, but also created such rich worlds that we want to see more, like Signal.
Mm-hmm. Or like Tunnel, where it's high concept, but you could still do a procedural element to it where you go back in time to a different era or forward to a different era or something like that. So anything like that, time travel with like criminal, investigation involved. Mm-hmm. Also anything slice of life, Age of Youth, because this life is our first. Shows like that.
Katasu1996 asks, what do you guys think about Netflix getting more involved in K-drama land? Any thoughts on drama licensing today and whether it's easier or harder to access K-drama content compared to before?
I don't know that it's any harder. I think it is more dispersed though.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely changing. I think that's always been the case, so it's never been static. Like we had, a number of years where it was all pirated content, and then that gave way to streaming content, and now this gives way to like the fracturing of the streaming content. I do think that most shows are still available, it's just not in one place. And I think for the content providers, maybe it's great for them because they get more places to show their shows. For fans, it might be a little annoying, I think, because it's harder to get them in one place.
I think it is a little bit harder because you feel like, I have to have 3 subscriptions to see all the dramas I want to see. So I think
we've always just been fans of like access. More access is good. We want more people to be able to see more things.
Well, yeah, because then we can all talk about it together. So
yeah, it's really a bummer, I think, when we want to talk about something but nobody can get it, and then nobody knows what we're talking about. What is one thing in a drama that makes you think, yes, this one's a keeper?
God, there's so many tropes that I really love in dramas.
Well, we're going to talk about tropes in a second. I think that for me, it's not what a drama does, but the way it makes me feel. I think there are some shows where you're watching it, and right in the middle of it, you just kind of feel like, oh yeah, this is right, this feels good, I want more of it, as opposed to some where you feel like you're just kind of, let's just push through, let's just see what happens next. I think that's more common, to kind of see where it goes. But some, I was recently watching Because This Life Is Our First, and I feel like often in many of the episodes, I just feel like, I'm just so happy with the show.
Yeah, I mean, I love the way it makes me feel. So I guess anything that makes my heart flutter a little or makes me excited, I like shows like that. And then anything that piques my curiosity too. Like, if that first episode ends with something that drives me crazy with curiosity, then I'm definitely watching more.
Hoa Moa asks, what are some dramas that to this day still make you sad because it had so much wasted potential? There are many of these.
There are so many. I feel like most dramas are like this for me.
I think all of the shows that I've seen that I've not liked fall into this category because I watched them because I wanted to like them.
Yeah, and because you see all that potential that was wasted, it always makes you sad. But shows like Two Worlds probably is one of the big ones.
Because it was good, but it could have been so
much
better.
Amazing, but it was just a mess. But a great mess.
It's anything where you could see the potential in, because I think a show that's just kind of like, it did the best it could with a really bland romantic comedy setup, and that's fine. But it's something that made you think like you were going somewhere and then you left the path. I feel like there are a lot of shows in the past year that have done that, which is why maybe it's been sort of a lackluster year. But, you know, I think there's a rhythm and shows come and go, and there will be a good one to come along soon.
There's always hope.
Oh, here's a question that's a little off the beaten path. What's your favorite K-beauty product in your arsenal that you just can't live without?
Oh my goodness.
Because we're big junkies, and there's actually so many that we should probably do a separate video on beauty products.
Yeah, we should just separate out beauty stuff. So
I will just say that right now, I'm like big into the hydrating toners.
Yes, like the thicker toners that you put on your face, like you tap into your face.
Yes, 7 times, the 7 skins. I do all of them, and sometimes more. And I feel like you think that the 7 skin thing is a gimmick, and then you do it, and you're like, ah, I look radiant. So that's what it is for me.
We'll have to do separate beauty vlogs.
We'll answer more questions next time, some of the old questions as well as your new ones. We wanted to actually talk about tropes because that was a recurring question that we got from a lot of different people. So we decided we would talk about some of our favorite tropes, and not just the ones we like, but the ones that we like so much that we will sit through a lot of bad dramas for them.
Basically, it's the cliches that are like, you think, oh God, this again in every single drama, and yet it still hooks you and it makes you watch. So these are our favorite tropes.
I think it's actually more fun sometimes when they're badly done.
Yes.
Because if a good drama does a trope well, sure, it's good. But if it does it poorly, you're still like, man, but I'm still a sucker for this trope. And for me, I have to say it's the contract relationship. It's
always. That's the number one. Contract relationships.
So. They go hand in hand with a lot of the other tropes that we're going to talk about.
But it's like it just forces two people together who hate each other or wouldn't be together for whatever other reason. And I don't know.
I love it when two people at the very beginning, you would never ever envision that they would end up together. Yes. But you're just going to force them to somehow have this contract relationship and give them a shot where normally life wouldn't let them.
And it's just, you know, you sign a contract and then around everyone else in your life, you have to act like a couple. And this is like just, it makes me giddy, like this stuff.
I mean, this is because this life is our first right now where, you know, they're just landlord and tenant at this point, but they're married to the outside world. So whenever, you know, mom comes over, he has to talk to her in a more familiar address. Like he's very, Lee Min-gi's character, he's very stiff and formal, but like when other people are in there here, when they can hear, he has to be very warm and, not warm, but like familiar.
Well, kind at least, or familiar, yeah. I died when they went to his family and she had to call him Oppa for the first time.
Right.
I love stuff like this.
Or where she has to act really familiar and he's kind of not as quick on the uptake as she is.
Yes.
So he takes a moment to realize that this is an act and he just freaks out. Those are really great. Or when he went to Kimjang when they were making kimchi and everyone was treating him like the beloved son-in-law and he's just trying to go along with it. Mm-hmm. I think there are a lot of classics that probably like started.
My Name is Kim Samsoon is probably one of the best like classic examples. Mm-hmm. Just two people who hate each other but end up in a contract relationship.
Or My Girl, where I like it when the contract kind of becomes the obstacle, because in My Girl, Lee Dong-wook's character hires Lee Da-hae's character to be his cousin.
Oh, right.
And so when they start having feelings for each other, it's like, but you're my cousin. And that becomes the barrier to them being together.
That's a pretty big barrier, I'd have to say.
I mean, that's why it was really good. It was kind of one of those addictive things of it was really great to force them to live in the same house. And then it was just like, okay, we can't do this now. And then I also think that there are the lower concept ones, like 1% of Anything, where there's almost no plot, but because they're in a contract relationship, they just have to go on dates. And then they realize, oh, I kind of like you.
That's a pretty weak contract, though. You just have to date each other.
It is, but the fact is that they would not have dated otherwise. Because he was kind of an asshole, so she wouldn't have gone out with him.
I think I prefer the ones that are like fake boyfriend, you know?
Yes, the stronger.
Yeah.
The coercion is strong. Yeah. But the next one is Cohabitation, which is kind of...
They go really hand in hand with the contract relationship, especially in shows like Because This Life Is Our First, because it's literally both. They go into the contract for the house.
Yeah, I think it's extra fun when it's contract relationship and cohabitation. Mm-hmm. I mean, some are one or the other. Like Personal Taste is only cohabitation. because they don't have a contract. And that's also a pretty good example of a drama that I was sucked in because of the conceit of the thing, and you stuck it through even when that show started to go kind of crazy.
Yeah, that was, I mean, but they were so cute that you just went with it. But yeah, I mean, the whole conceit of it was just that he had to live in that house, which is kind of silly.
I mean, yes, I have to live in this house to study its architecture. So I am now
really
gay. Yes. That's like backflips and acrobatics to get into the conceit. But again, like when you invoke this trope, I'm in there. Like it's
well, because any time that you force two people to live together, they start acting coupley without even really knowing it. Like,
they fall into patterns.
Yeah.
They walk into each other on the shower.
아이 고점!
미안해요. 근데 저 렌즈도 안 끼고 안경도 안 껴서 앞이 정말 잘 안 보이거든요. 너무 걱정하지 마세요.
Like
Yes.
I remember a lot of those things happened. And like Full House did both, where it was a contract relationship and a cohabitation one, and they're always fighting with each other, but they live in the same place, so they have to work it out.
I really liked Bottom of the Ninth with Two Outs, because they were best friends and there was no romantic feeling, but then once they started living together, it really like forced all the feelings out. So I liked that.
Another of my favorite tropes is the ones where it's usually the hero who has revenge, and he usually has a new face to come back with it.
I love the new face part.
Well, I can't say revenge is a trope that really hooks me, but revenge with a new face is, I mean, I'm talking like Green Rose.
Well, because it's Count of Monte Cristo, right? Like
Right.
you go away for a long period of time and then people don't recognize you and then you come back as like a new identity.
Or Count of Monte Cristo, where you come back with the same face but a new name.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite, when the girl, like in Green Rose, Idahe again, Idahe is so sure it's him, it's Kosu, but he has a new Chinese name. And he's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, no, it's you. He's insisting that he's not the guy that, supposedly died. A bad version is Goodbye, Mr. Black.
Oh yeah, we recapped that show.
Can I say that the second half, 2/3, 3/4 of that show is really painful to
Most
recap.
of that show was really painful.
Sometimes I wish we weren't so completist.
Yeah.
But
Probably
again,
should have dropped that show.
we could have probably told ourselves a few episodes in it was bad, but we just kept going with it.
Well, sometimes just you want to see how the revenge plays out, and then you're disappointed because the revenge doesn't play out.
Remember Shark?
Oh yeah. Any show with Kim Nam-gil coming back with a new face, like I end up watching it. I don't know why.
But you don't watch his actual good show.
I know.
And I think as another trope that's, again, related but not the same, is either secret or wrong or mistaken identities, because those often go hand in hand with revenge, but I also like it when there's just new identities in general.
Yeah, or even like amnesia tied in with that, because like Winter Sonata is basically the same thing, where they come back as adults, but it's like one of them just can't remember. And
Right, so
you're just
one doesn't know
Yeah.
the history, and then the other does. I like the ones with, secret identities have, I think, a few categories. One is like the hero, like the
I
Kachitai,
love the superhero ones. Those are
and
my favorites.
the city hunter. I love the city hunter one, where his regular persona is, he has to play it up as kind of, a scoundrel, and has to hide how awesome he is as a vigilante.
I really like the healer version, where
Yes.
the persona is dorky.
Oh yes,
That's the best.
I like the healer version of many things.
I just like healer.
Yes, well, I did really like it where my favorite part in Healer, where she's like, I feel really close to you. It's like we're sisters.
I know. Poor Pongsugi.
I know. But then she doesn't even see how cool he is, because he's just, tripping over his feet.
I love secret identity dramas. Yeah.
But I do think that Secret Identity also has other cases where it's not to do with like fighting crime or anything like that. I was actually thinking of I Miss You, which is a terrible drama. Don't watch it.
No.
It's very full of pain and torture. But I really like this concept of Yunene is okay. Yunene, when she's a teenager, is raped and then abandoned, and she's picked up and taken care of by other people. and they very clearly wrote into the plot that she broke her nose, so that when she comes back as an adult, Yu-chun is almost sure, like he has a feeling it's her, but she's acting like a different person, and he can't, quite see the same person, but is so similar that he is really drawn to her. Like, I really like that they're drawn together again, despite the fact that she has this other identity that she's clinging to.
But that's a terrible drama.
Don't watch it.
If you like the trope, you should watch like 7 Day Queen, because that's a good version of that trope. Where, like they're separated and she believes he's dead, and then he comes back as an adult looking the same. Like, they really do look the same. They got a great child actor who looks just like Yeonwoo-jin, so he does really look the same. And so she's like convinced it's him, but he's pretending not to be.
And I love that the way she caught on is because he said something. Like,
yeah.
She caught on to his mannerisms and his way of speech, and was like, I know it's you.
That's a great version of that trope. I love it.
Oh, Friends to Lovers, that's one of your favorites.
Oh, I love. And you know what? I just like kind of that interaction where you're not quite sure where the line is between, friends or more. And so, like, it shows like weightlifting fairy.
It's kind of like you're in that sum zone for a really long time because nobody wants to lose what they have.
And like in real life, that's actually when it's a little like the most fluttery, because you don't know how the other person feels.
You feel it, you think it's there, but you're not entirely sure.
Yeah, and you spend all your time thinking, like wondering if it's the same. So I think it plays out really well in Friends to Lovers, kind of that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these examples of Friends to Lovers dramas are good ones. I think a lot of them do it well, like Fight My Way, Bottom of the Ninth, Weightlifting Fairy. I think 20th Century Boy and Girl is on the bubble because it has a lot of the really, really great things that they grew up together and he knows everything about her. People miss that she's feeling unwell, but he looks at her and knows, she's suffering an allergic reaction to something.
It's a cute setup.
Yeah, it's just, theirs is almost like there's no conflict and you're like, why aren't you together yet? Like, they spend a really long time just in that friend zone, clearly liking each other and not doing anything.
See, when they do it badly, this is the problem, because I remember watching The Time I've Loved You. I watched that entire drama.
Why?
Don't ask me why. Because you know why? Because I like Friends to Lovers trope. That's why. So you stick through a bad drama, but there it's like they're grown adults. They've lived next door to each other their whole lives, and they clearly have some sort of feelings there, but she keeps rejecting him and dating other people and dating terrible people. Even though I love Yoon Gin-sang, but in that drama he was a jerk.
Don't you feel like at that point you're like, you deserve to be
yes,
apart?
you deserve to be apart. You don't deserve this guy who's waited 20 years for you. Like, why does she? It drove me crazy, that drama.
Don't watch it.
Basically, there are ways to do it badly.
Yes, for sure. I do actually really like Hate to Love, almost more than Friends to Love.
Lovers.
Because I just love it when there's a lot of chemistry right off the bat, but it's hate.
Yes.
Like, my favorite one, I think this is why a lot of us maybe liked Boys Over Flowers. Maybe that's one of many reasons, because I think Boys Over Flowers kind of hit the jackpot in terms of scoring all of the tropes and cliches to get us involved, despite its very subpar execution.
It was like a trope vending machine, like one episode after the other, right?
But Hate was really front and center because he was such a jackass and she wanted nothing to do with him. She wanted him gone, destroyed. And then he's so obsessed with hating her and like harassing her at school that it turns into this weird fixation.
But that's the thing, it's like he's stupid and doesn't know that he's actually the hate. It means that he's obsessed with her and in love with her, right? Like,
yeah.
I love that he
But
doesn't
so
know.
Good. Yeah. So I love that moment where it turns from him being the one to harass her to him being like, oh wait, I want to protect her from the other people harassing her. And then, after that, because once you win that guy over, because he's like a dumb lug, he's got her affection forever, right? Or she has his affection forever.
The funny thing is, I mean, a show like Heirs, for instance, on paper sounds exactly the same, but it's terrible. Like, there, he's just hateful and you don't ever want him to be happy.
I feel like in Heirs, it's the watered down version. I feel like Boys Over Flowers had all of that energy.
Yeah.
And then Heirs was kind of like, eh.
But also, there was like a lovable side, right? Underneath the hate. Oh, I really loved King Two Hearts. That's probably my favorite Hate to Love.
I think that's a better one than Secret Garden, which I think he was too snooty to really like it. Again, there are bad versions because I'm thinking of Warm and Cozy where they hate each other and then I kind of hate them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I guess we can wrap up with one of the most popular ones of all time, which is cross-dressing.
I will watch all cross-dressing
Which
dramas.
I will say, ties into a lot of the other ones too. Like there's so much overlap and interlinking with these tropes, but cross-dressing is almost uniquely K-drama-y. I know it's not. I know, by far from only Korean dramas are by far from the only ones to do this, but they've got this formula like the You're Beautiful, Seonggyungwan Scandal, Moonlight Drama Clouds, Coffee Prince. It's like this tried and true thing where
It's so cracky. Like you have to watch it.
because I think it invokes a lot of the things about the guy has to fall for the heroine who's cross-dressing for her inner beauty.
Yes.
And she's often, more appreciated. I feel like it allows her to be appreciated for her brains, like in Seonggyungwan, or just for her, resourcefulness, or other qualities than she's really pretty or she's a candy or anything like that. I will say that there is also a subset of really terrible ones, and we've watched a lot of them. Probably
watched them
because
all.
they're really addicting. I mean, I saw Nail Shop Paris, which
To
was
the Beautiful You.
these are really bad. K-pop Ultimate Star Survival reality show. That one, Scholar Who Walks the Night.
That's right.
I will say that you're kind of a sure bet on that one.
Basically, I'll watch them all,
Yeah.
whether you're good or bad.
I really wish they were better done so that all of our hours would not
But
be wasted.
when they are well done, they're my favorites, though.
Yeah.
So this is why I watch them all.
Yes.
What are you gonna do?
Yes. I think that's it for our favorite tropes. I mean, we have so many more we could talk about, but we had to limit it to our favorites.
We'll come back next time with more of your questions.
Okay,
and
yeah.
More favorites.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.